Commander Sarah Thompson stood at the helm of the U.S. Horizon, her heart racing as the ship descended through the atmosphere of Earth 7. This vibrant alien world shimmered below, dotted with bioluminescent flora and towering crystalline structures. Her team of explorers was eager to make contact with the Verthax, a species known for their technological prowess and cultural richness. As the ship landed with a soft thud, Sarah exchanged glances with her crew, her excitement mixed with the weight of responsibility. "Remember, respect and diplomacy are key," she reminded them, feeling the familiar nerves of a first contact. The airlock hissed open, and they stepped onto the surface, greeted by a group of Verthax. Towering and slender, the aliens had shimmering skin that changed color with their emotions. Their leader, a striking figure named Sylar, stepped forward, his deep voice echoing across the clearing. "Welcome, Earthlings. We have awaited your arrival." Sarah offered a confident smile, hoping to set a positive tone. "Thank you, Dylar. We're excited to learn from each other and explore the possibilities of collaboration." The Verthax seemed intrigued but skeptical. As the humans set up a presentation area, Sarah decided to showcase one of Earth's historical artifacts, an ancient firearm, a relic from humanity's past. It was a rusty, worn piece, but it represented an important part of their history, a testament to survival against overwhelming odds. With the gun in hand, she addressed the gathered Verthax. "This is a representation of our past struggles and triumphs. It symbolizes our resilience, our ability to overcome challenges." The aliens exchanged glances, their amusement palpable. Sylar raised an eyebrow, a smirk spreading across his face. "Is this your most advanced technology? A relic of a primitive time?" Laughter erupted among the Verthax, a sound that stung Sarah's pride. She fought to maintain her composure, but the mockery cut deep. "It's not just about the weapon itself," she insisted, her voice steady despite the jeers. "It's about what it represents, our journey, our history." As the aliens continued to chuckle, Sarah felt her resolve hardening. "I'd like to show you how it works," she said, deciding to turn the tide of their laughter into something more productive. The Verthax laughed even harder at her suggestion, exchanging looks that suggested they viewed her as naive. "Very well," Sylar said, amusement dancing in his eyes. "Show us this ancient gun. Perhaps we shall learn something about your primitive ways." With her team watching anxiously, Sarah carefully loaded the weapon, her heart pounding. The weight of the moment pressed down on her, but she knew she had to follow through. She aimed it at a distant target, a large rock formation, and pulled the trigger. To her shock, the gun roared to life, sending a powerful blast streaking across the sky. The sound echoed, and the explosion rocked the ground as the projectile struck the rock, shattering it into dust and debris. Gasps replaced laughter, and the Verthax fell silent, eyes wide in disbelief. Sylar stared at the smoking crater where the rock had been. "You actually fired it." Sarah, equally surprised, managed to grin. "Yes, this is just a glimpse of what humanity is capable of. We may not have your advanced technology, but we've learned to adapt and survive." The atmosphere shifted dramatically. No longer were they merely mocking the ancient gun. Now they were faced with the reality that even the simplest human technology could hold unexpected power. Sarah's heart swelled with renewed hope. She could see curiosity replacing skepticism in the eyes of the Verthax. "Let us discuss this further," Sylar said, his voice low and thoughtful. The laughter had faded, replaced by the buzz of intrigue. "Perhaps there is more to your kind than we anticipated." As the initial shock wore off, Sarah felt a spark of possibility igniting. This encounter could lead to understanding, to collaboration, and maybe even friendship. She glanced at her team, their faces reflecting a mix of relief and excitement. Maybe, just maybe, this ancient gun would be the key to bridging the gap between their worlds. The atmosphere buzzed with newfound tension as the Verthax processed the unexpected demonstration. Commander Sarah Thompson stood at the center of the gathering, adrenaline coursing through her veins. The ancient gun, once a source of mockery, had now shifted perceptions. Xylar stepped closer, his shimmering skin flashing shades of intrigue and curiosity. You have proven that even the most archaic technology can yield impressive results. But tell us, what else do your people possess? Sarah swallowed hard, the stakes feeling higher than ever. We have ingenuity, creativity, and a deep well of resilience. But our true strength lies in our unity, our ability to overcome challenges together. Unity. Xylar echoed, his voice a blend of skepticism and curiosity. Your kind is known for conflict and division. How can you speak of unity? Sarah glanced at her team, feeling their support. We have faced our share of conflicts, yes, but we have also learned from them. We strive to work together, especially in the face of adversity. The Verthax murmured amongst themselves, still processing the implications of the gun's display. Show us more of your technology. Xylar insisted, shifting his stance. If we are to consider an alliance, we need to understand what humanity truly offers. With a nod, Sarah gathered her thoughts. We can share our advancements in medicine, agriculture, and engineering. But I believe it's important to demonstrate our collaborative spirit, not just our technologies. Xylar seemed to contemplate this. Then let us test your resolve. A demonstration of cooperation. Both our technologies in action. Perhaps a challenge. The word challenge sent a ripple of unease through the human team, but Sarah steeled herself. What do you have in mind? Xylar gestured toward a distant ridge, where bioluminescent creatures flickered like stars. The Krathens, our rivals, threaten this region. They have advanced weaponry, and we've been unable to drive them away. If your people can aid us in this, we will take your offer of alliance seriously. The mention of the Krathens sent a shiver down Sarah's spine. She had read reports of their ruthlessness, their penchant for violence. If we help you with this task, you'll agree to consider our partnership. Indeed. Xylar confirmed, his expression serious. But you must prove yourselves worthy. Show us that humans are not simply relics of a bygone era. With a determined nod, Sarah turned to her team. We accept. Let's show them what we can do. The team prepared for the challenge, gathering equipment and strategizing. Sarah felt the weight of responsibility on her shoulders, but also a flicker of excitement. This was their chance to demonstrate the true spirit of humanity, to unite under a common goal, and prove that even the smallest of allies could make a significant impact. As they made their way toward the ridge, the Verthax warriors led the charge, their energy weapons at the ready. Sarah's team followed closely, adrenaline fueling their resolve. The landscape transformed around them, vibrant flora shifting as they approached the encampment of the Krathens. When they reached a vantage point overlooking the Krathen stronghold, Sarah's heart raced. The encampment was fortified, armed with the very weaponry that had intimidated the Verthax. We'll need a plan, she said, assessing the situation. We can't just rush in. Xylar stepped forward, his voice calm but commanding. We will use your ancient gun as a distraction. While the Krathens are preoccupied, our warriors can flank them. Sarah hesitated, recalling how the Verthax had once laughed at the gun. Are you sure it's wise to use that? Xylar met her gaze, unwavering. You've shown its power. Now we must show them its cunning. As they devised their strategy, Sarah felt a sense of camaraderie growing. The laughter and mockery had transformed into a mutual understanding. Each member of the team, human and Verthax alike, was focused on a single goal, to confront the Krathens and forge a path to cooperation. With their plan in place, Sarah clutched the ancient gun, feeling the weight of history and hope. This time, it wasn't just about proving a point. It was about standing together against a common enemy. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the landscape, they prepared for the challenge ahead, united by purpose and determination. The atmosphere was electric as Commander Sarah Thompson and her team, flanked by the Verthax warriors, approached the Krathen encampment. As they crested the ridge, a sprawling sight unfolded below them. Tents of dark fabric sprawled across the landscape, guarded by intimidating Krathen soldiers. They were known for their ruthless tactics and advanced weaponry, and Sarah's heart raced at the thought of what lay ahead. "We need to move quickly," Tylar whispered, his skin shifting to a deep indigo, signaling readiness. "The longer we stay here, the more time they have to fortify." Sarah nodded, adrenaline pumping through her veins. "Let's initiate the plan. We'll create a diversion, then flank from the left." As the team descended toward the encampment, the Verthax moved with an otherworldly grace, their forms almost blending with the environment. Sarah and her crew followed closely, gripping their weapons tightly, each step echoing their resolve. Once they reached a vantage point just outside the Krathen perimeter, Sarah took a deep breath. "All right, here's the plan. I'll use the ancient gun to create a distraction. The moment they turn to investigate, Sylar and his team will flank them from the left. We'll use the element of surprise." The Verthax nodded, their expressions serious, understanding the stakes. Sarah held the gun tightly, feeling its weight, a symbol of resilience and ingenuity. "Let's do this." She stepped into view, raising the gun and aiming at a distant crate within the encampment. With a deep breath, she pulled the trigger. The gun roared to life, sending a powerful blast that exploded against the crate, sending debris flying. The sound echoed like thunder, and the Krathens immediately snapped to attention, their eyes darting toward the source of the noise. "Now," Sylar commanded, and the Verthax surged forward, their energy weapons crackling to life. Sarah's team followed closely, adrenaline coursing through their veins as they rushed toward the chaos. The Krathens, caught off guard, scrambled to react. Sarah felt a surge of triumph as she witnessed the confusion among their ranks. Her heart raced as she and her crew plunged into the fray, working side by side with the Verthax. Energy blasts lit up the twilight sky as the humans and Verthax fought fiercely against the Krathen soldiers. Sarah dodged an incoming shot, returning fire with the ancient gun. To her surprise, the weapon proved effective even in this new context, its power unmistakable as it knocked down a Krathen soldier with precision. "Keep moving," she shouted to her team, rallying them as they advanced. "We can't let them regroup." The battle raged on, the air thick with tension and the scent of scorched earth. Sarah glanced back to see her team holding their own, their training shining through. They were no longer just a group of explorers. They were warriors, united in their fight for survival. But just as victory seemed within reach, a hulking Krathen commander emerged from the shadows, towering above the chaos. His presence silenced the battlefield, and he raised a massive energy weapon, aiming directly at Sarah. In that split second, time slowed. She could feel her heart pounding in her chest, panic threatening to overwhelm her. But before she could react, Sylar stepped in front of her, raising his own weapon. "No," he shouted, his voice cutting through the tension. With a flash of energy, Sylar fired, the blast striking the Krathen commander just as he pulled the trigger. The energy beam collided with the ground, narrowly missing Sarah, but causing a shockwave that sent her sprawling. As she hit the ground, she saw the Krathen commander stagger, his weapon faltering. The Verthax took advantage of the moment, swarming the commander and overpowering him in a swift, coordinated assault. Sarah pushed herself back up, heart racing. "Is everyone okay?" she called out, scanning her team. "We're fine," came the response, their voices laced with determination. With the commander down, the Krathen forces began to retreat, chaos erupting as they scrambled to regroup. The tide of battle had turned, and victory was within reach. As the last remnants of the Krathen defense crumbled, Sarah felt a surge of elation. They had faced a formidable foe and emerged stronger, united in their efforts. The laughter of the Verthax, once a distant memory, was now replaced with shouts of triumph and celebration. Sylar turned to Sarah, a newfound respect gleaming in his eyes. "You fought well, "Commander, your people have proven themselves." With a smile, Sarah raised the ancient gun high, its presence now a symbol of their victory, a testament to humanity's ability to rise to any challenge, even in the face of ridicule. Together, they had forged a new path, one of respect and unity, ready to face whatever lay ahead. The dust began to settle over the battlefield as the last remnants of the Krathan forces retreated into the shadows of their encampment. Commander Sarah Thompson stood amidst the remnants of the fight, catching her breath. Her heart pounded with adrenaline, each beat echoing the triumph they had achieved together. She looked around at her team and the Verthax warriors, all of whom bore expressions of disbelief mingled with exhilaration. "Did we really just do that?" Sarah gasped, still reeling from the intensity of the battle. Xylar approached, a smile breaking through his stoic demeanor. "Your people fought with tenacity. The Krathens did not expect such resilience from humans." Just then, a low rumble echoed from the distance, drawing everyone's attention. The ground vibrated slightly beneath their feet, and the dark silhouette of a massive Krathan warship rose from behind a hill, its engines roaring to life. Panic rippled through the ranks. "Commander, we need to move," one of her crew shouted, urgency clear in their voice. Sarah's mind raced. "We can't let them regroup and retaliate." "Xylar, can we take it out before it launches?" Xylar glanced at the ship, his expression hardening. "If we can create a diversion, we might be able to take it down, but we'll need to work quickly." "All right, let's gather the team," Sarah said, her voice steady despite the urgency. "We'll need to coordinate our efforts if we want to stop that ship from getting airborne." As the Verthax warriors prepared their energy weapons, Sarah's team quickly formulated a plan. They decided to split into two groups. One would create a distraction to draw the Krathens' attention, while the other would flank the ship and attempt to disable it before it could escape. "Let's move," Sarah commanded, adrenaline surging again as they sprang into action. As they approached the warship, the ground beneath them trembled with each roar of its engines. They made their way through the ruins of the Krathan encampment, hoping to use the debris for cover. The tension was palpable, and every rustle of wind felt amplified. Suddenly, alarms blared from the warship, and searchlights swept across the area, illuminating their hiding spots. "Go, go!" Sarah urged, sprinting forward. Her heart raced as she dashed from cover to cover, her team close behind. Just as they reached a large pile of debris, a group of Krathan soldiers emerged, weapons raised. The humans quickly took cover, but Sarah felt the pressure mounting. "We can't let them see us." "Xylar, can you create a diversion?" Xylar nodded, his eyes narrowing in determination. "I'll draw their attention." With a swift movement, he activated a small device on his wrist. A holographic projection flickered to life, creating an image of a Verthax warrior standing on the ridge, brandishing a weapon. The Krathens, recognizing a threat, diverted their focus toward the illusion. "Now," Sarah shouted, signaling her team to move. They darted forward, weaving through the debris, hearts pounding with every step. As they reached the warship, Sarah felt a sense of urgency. "We need to disable it quickly." She spotted a maintenance access panel and quickly worked to pry it open. Inside, she could see complex circuitry, pulsing with energy. "Cover me," she called to her team, who set up a perimeter, firing at any approaching Krathan soldiers. The energy blasts lit up the night, illuminating their determined faces. With trembling hands, Sarah accessed the panel. "I need to bypass the systems," she muttered, recalling what she had learned about electronics back on Earth. She worked quickly, pulling wires and connecting them, her heart racing with the knowledge that time was running out. Suddenly, the sounds of combat intensified as the Krathens began to regroup. "Hurry, Sarah," a voice called, panic rising. Just as she felt she was making progress, a Krathan soldier appeared at the edge of her vision. "Commander," one of her team shouted, trying to alert her. In that moment of desperation, Sarah felt the weight of her mission, of humanity's future, on her shoulders. Almost there, she yelled, her fingers flying over the circuitry. With one last connection, the panel sparked, and a low hum filled the air. "Now," she cried, diving to the side as the warship's systems began to overload. The ground shook violently, and alarms blared. The energy core surged with power, ready to explode. The humans sprinted away, narrowly avoiding the blast as the ship erupted in a fiery explosion, lighting up the night sky. The force of the explosion sent them sprawling, but as they picked themselves up, a rush of victory flooded through them. "Did we do it?" Sarah gasped, breathless as she looked back at the smoldering wreckage. Xylar stood beside her, awe on his face. "Yes, Commander. We did." Together, they had achieved the impossible. They had not only survived, but had turned the tide against their enemies, united in purpose. In that moment, laughter had transformed into respect, and a fragile alliance had begun to solidify. As the stars shone brightly above them, Sarah realized that they had taken the first step toward a future built on trust and collaboration. As the last echoes of the explosion faded into the night, the air was thick with smoke and the scent of scorched metal. Commander Sarah Thompson stood among her team and the Verthax warriors, adrenaline still coursing through her veins. They had faced the Krathens head-on and emerged victorious. The remnants of their fight were all around them, a testament to their combined strength and resolve. "Is everyone all right?" Sarah called, scanning her team. They were breathless but unharmed, their expressions a mix of disbelief and exhilaration. "Just a few scrapes, Commander," replied Lieutenant James, grinning as he wiped soot from his brow. "That was one hell of a show." Xylar approached, his skin flickering with hues of excitement. "You humans are remarkable. Your tenacity in battle has earned my respect, and that of my people." Sarah felt a swell of pride at his words. "We couldn't have done it without you and your warriors. This was a team effort." As they caught their breath, the Verthax warriors began to regroup, forming a protective circle around Sarah and her team. The distant sounds of retreating Krathen forces reminded them that the fight was not over. "We must ensure that the remaining Krathens do not regroup and retaliate," Xylar said, his tone shifting to urgency. "If they see our alliance as a threat, they may strike back harder." "Agreed," Sarah replied, her mind racing. "Let's assess the area and find out how many Krathens remain. We need to secure this part of the planet." The group moved cautiously, scanning the horizon. The chaos had stirred the night creatures, whose glowing forms flitted in the underbrush, adding an eerie beauty to the scene. But the tension was palpable. Their recent victory felt fragile, as if it could shatter at any moment. As they patrolled the perimeter, Sarah noticed a group of Krathen soldiers regrouping in the distance, their silhouettes stark against the glowing landscape. "There, we have to act fast," she whispered, pointing. "Xylar, can we launch a surprise attack?" one of her team members suggested, eyes wide with determination. Xylar nodded, his expression serious. "We can coordinate our efforts. If we move swiftly, we can catch them off guard once again." "Let's do it," Sarah said, feeling the thrill of battle rise again within her. "This time, we'll hit them hard and fast." As they moved into position, Sarah's heart raced with the anticipation of the upcoming fight. She glanced at the ancient gun in her hands, its weight now feeling reassuring. It had become a symbol of their unity and strength, representing their journey from mockery to respect. Once in position, Sarah and Xylar exchanged a nod. "On my signal," she whispered, adrenaline heightening her senses. As the Krathen soldiers gathered, their confidence seemingly restored, Sarah took a deep breath. Now, the sound of energy blasts filled the air as the humans and Verthax launched their coordinated assault. Bolts of light shot across the battlefield, striking the Krathen soldiers before they even knew what hit them. Sarah felt a surge of triumph as they pressed the attack, their teamwork flowing seamlessly. In the chaos, Sarah spotted a group of Krathens attempting to regroup near a rocky outcrop. "Let's cut them off," she yelled, leading her team in a sprint toward the enemy. They could not let any of them escape. The Krathens, now realizing the full extent of the combined force against them, began to falter. With each blast of the ancient gun, Sarah felt the tides of battle shifting decisively in their favor. Her team's determination ignited a fire within her. They were no longer simply explorers, but warriors standing shoulder to shoulder with the Verthax. As the last of the Krathen soldiers fell, the sounds of battle faded, replaced by heavy breathing and the distant chirping of alien creatures. Sarah and her team stood victorious, surveying the scene. "We did it!" Lieutenant James exclaimed, pumping his fist in the air. Cheers erupted from the Verthax, their laughter and shouts ringing through the night, echoing their newfound camaraderie. Thylar approached Sarah, his expression a mix of admiration and gratitude. "Today, you have proven that strength is not only in technology but in unity. This battle has forged a bond between our peoples that I believe can withstand the tests ahead." Sarah smiled, her heart swelling with hope. "And this is just the beginning. Together, we can face whatever challenges come our way." As they stood together, watching the stars twinkle overhead, Sarah realized how far they had come, from initial mockery to a fierce alliance. The journey ahead would be long, but they were ready to embrace it together. They had turned the tides of war, and in doing so, had ignited the spark of a profound friendship that could reshape their worlds. As the echoes of battle faded into the night, the atmosphere around Sarah and her team shifted from tension to celebration. The Verthax warriors, once wary of their human counterparts, now danced in jubilant circles, their vibrant colors shimmering in the starlight. Laughter and cheers filled the air, resonating with a newfound unity that Sarah could hardly believe. "Commander," Lieutenant James called, breaking through the throng of celebration. "We need to secure our perimeter and ensure that no stragglers from the Krathens are left behind." "Right," Sarah replied, her mind still buzzing from the adrenaline. "Let's set up a watch. We can't let our guard down just yet." As the team split up to patrol the area, Sarah caught sight of Thylar, who had stepped aside from the festivities, his expression contemplative. She approached him, sensing the gravity beneath his celebratory demeanor. "You did well today," she said, offering the supportive smile. "Your leadership was crucial." Thylar nodded, though his expression remained serious. "I am grateful for your support, but I worry. The Krathens will not take this defeat lightly. They will regroup and retaliate." Sarah considered his words. "We need to prepare for that. We can strengthen our defenses here and strategize our next moves. This victory has given us momentum. We can use it to solidify our alliance." He looked at her, his eyes reflecting a mix of respect and concern. "And what of our people? They may not easily accept this union. Many Verthax still view humans as inferior, relics of a past age. Today's battle may change perceptions, but old beliefs die hard." "Then we'll change their minds," Sarah said, her determination shining through. "We need to show them that we can learn from one another. Let's plan joint training exercises, share knowledge, and build something lasting. This isn't just about fighting the Krathens. It's about building a future together." Thylar considered her words, the colors of his skin shifting with contemplation. "You have a strong vision, Commander. If you are willing to invest in this alliance, I will support you, but it will require commitment from both sides." "Absolutely," Sarah replied, a fire igniting within her. "We can start by inviting your warriors to share in our methods. Together, we can forge a powerful front." As they spoke, a commotion drew their attention back to the gathering. A group of Verthax warriors was leading a Krathen prisoner, bound and defiant, toward the center of the festivities. The crowd hushed, and all eyes turned to the captured soldier. Thylar's brow furrowed. What do they intend to do with him? "Let's find out," Sarah said, moving closer to the crowd. As they approached, the Verthax leader stood tall, holding a makeshift podium. "People of Verthax, today we have demonstrated our strength against the Krathens, but this fight is not just ours. It belongs to our new allies, the humans. A murmur rippled through the crowd. This is a Krathan soldier, the leader continued, gesturing toward the captive. He will tell us of their plans. We can learn from him. The crowd's tension shifted. The promise of information sparked curiosity and trepidation alike. Sarah felt her heart race. This was a pivotal moment. "Let me speak with him," she said to Sylar, determination firming her resolve. "If we can gather intel, it might help us formulate a defense." "Be careful, Commander," Xylar warned, but he nodded in agreement. Stepping forward, Sarah approached the Krathan prisoner, whose eyes glinted with defiance. "What's your name?" she asked, trying to gauge his demeanor. "I will tell you nothing," he spat, struggling against his restraints. "Perhaps not," Sarah replied, keeping her voice steady. "But you'll tell us something. You see, we've defeated your forces today, and your people will come to avenge you. If you cooperate, I can promise you a chance to live beyond this day. Help us, and you may just find a different path." The Krathan hesitated, his bravado wavering for the first time. Sarah could sense the shift. She needed to exploit it. "You may view this as a defeat, but consider the truth," she pressed. "We have the strength to build something greater than war. Join us, and I can ensure your survival. What is it that your people plan?" As the crowd held its breath, Sarah realized they were at a crossroads. This prisoner could provide critical insights into the Krathan's future actions, or he could deepen the conflict. Either way, this moment could change everything. The Krathan prisoner narrowed his eyes at Sarah, a mix of defiance and uncertainty flickering across his face. The tension in the air was palpable, every eye in the gathering fixated on their exchange. Sarah's heart raced, knowing that the next few moments could dictate the future of not just her people, but of the alliance they were building with the Verthax. "Why would I help you?" The Krathan spat, his voice laced with bitterness. "Your kind are weak, and you fight like children." Sarah took a step closer, lowering her voice. "And yet here you are, captured and outnumbered. You've seen our strength. I'm offering you a chance to live, to possibly even thrive. Help us, and we can find a way to negotiate peace." For a moment, the prisoner's gaze flickered to the Verthax, their colorful forms standing resolute, a stark reminder of the powerful alliance that had just defeated him. His bravado faltered, and Sarah pressed on. "Your leaders won't care about you. You are nothing but a pawn to them. But with us, you could be part of something new. Help us understand your people, and you might earn a place among the living." Silence hung in the air, the crowd waiting with bated breath. Finally, the Krathan let out a reluctant sigh, the tension in his shoulders easing slightly. "What do you want to know?" he asked, his voice low and resigned. "Everything," Sarah replied, her voice firm. "What are your plans? How do you communicate with your forces? What resources do you have? This isn't just about today, it's about the future." The prisoner hesitated, his eyes darting around the crowd as if gauging their intentions. Finally, he spoke. "We have a supply ship that's due to arrive in 2 days. It carries reinforcements and munitions. If you can intercept it, you might cripple our forces." A murmur swept through the crowd, and Sylar stepped closer, his expression serious. "You're risking your life by sharing this. Why?" The Krathan met Sylar's gaze, his defiance fading into something more complex. "I may be a soldier, but I am not a fool. I see how your kind fight, how you can unite. Perhaps it is time for a different approach." "Very well," Sarah said, feeling a mix of hope and caution. "We need to discuss this with our leaders. You will remain under guard until we can ensure your safety. And ours." As the guards led the prisoner away, a sense of determination washed over Sarah. "This is a turning point," she told Sylar and her team. "If we can secure that supply ship, we could change the dynamics of this conflict." "Indeed," Sylar agreed, his eyes shining with resolve. "But we must act swiftly. The Krathans are not known for their patience, and word of our alliance could spread quickly." Sarah nodded, rallying her team. Let's gather intelligence on their supply routes. We'll need to plan our ambush carefully. We can't afford to miss this opportunity." As they began strategizing, Sarah felt the bond between humans and Verthax strengthen. It was no longer just about survival. It was about building a future together. They worked late into the night, sketching out plans and discussing tactics, their voices animated and full of purpose. With dawn approaching, Sarah stood at the edge of the encampment, looking out at the horizon. The first light of day illuminated the landscape, and she felt a sense of hope blossoming within her. The alliance was fragile, but it was growing stronger by the moment. As her team wrapped up their planning session, Sarah turned to Xylar. "We need to approach this with caution. The Krathens will be on high alert, especially after our recent victories." "Agreed," Xylar replied, a flicker of determination in his eyes. "We should create diversions to draw their attention away from the supply ship. It will give us the upper hand." They finalized their plans, ensuring each member of their team knew their role. The next 2 days would be crucial, and they would need to act with precision and unity. As the sun rose higher in the sky, casting warmth over the encampment, Sarah felt a wave of determination wash over her. They were on the cusp of something monumental. If they could secure that supply ship, it wouldn't just be a tactical victory. It would solidify the alliance between humans and Verthax, creating a force strong enough to confront the Krathens. As they prepared for the task ahead, Sarah looked around at her team, at the Verthax warriors standing shoulder to shoulder with them. She felt a surge of hope. This was not just a battle for survival. It was a fight for a future they could build together. The 2 days that followed were a blur of preparation and tension. Sarah and her team, alongside the Verthax warriors, executed their plan with precision. They set traps and diversions across the landscape, all while keeping an eye on the horizon for signs of the incoming Krathen supply ship. As dawn broke on the day of the ambush, the air was thick with anticipation. Sarah gathered her team and the Verthax leaders for one last briefing. "Remember, our goal is to intercept the supply ship and minimize casualties. We want to send a message to the Krathens that we are united and strong," she urged, her voice steady. Xylar stood beside her, his presence a reminder of the bond they had forged. "We will create distractions that will draw their forces away from the ship. This is our moment to demonstrate our strength together." As they moved into position, Sarah felt the weight of their mission settle over her. The landscape was eerily quiet, the calm before the storm. They crouched behind the rocks, watching the horizon, adrenaline pumping through their veins. Minutes felt like hours, and just as doubt began to creep in, the unmistakable shape of the Krathen supply ship appeared in the distance, gliding across the sky. A sense of urgency rippled through the group. "There it is," Sarah pointed, her heart racing. "Let's move." The team sprang into action as the ship descended toward its landing zone. Xylar and his warriors unleashed their energy weapons, sending bolts of light arcing toward the ground. The blasts erupted in plumes of dust, and the Krathen guards began to scramble. "Now, we have to hit them while they're disoriented," Sarah shouted, charging forward with her team. They engaged the surprised Krathens in a fierce firefight, the sounds of battle echoing across the landscape. Xylar led a group of Verthax warriors to flank the supply ship, their movements fluid and practiced. Sarah felt a rush of pride as she fought alongside them, realizing just how far they had come together. The Krathen soldiers, initially thrown off by the surprise attack, began to regroup. Their numbers were greater than anticipated, and Sarah's team was quickly outnumbered. "We need to push harder," she shouted, her voice rising above the chaos. "We can't let them get to the ship." Amidst the skirmish, Sarah spotted a Krathen officer trying to make his way toward the ship, likely to send a distress signal. "I'll take care of him," she called out, sprinting through the fray. As she closed the distance, the officer turned, surprise flashing in his eyes. Sarah aimed the ancient gun, remembering how it had once been dismissed as obsolete. "You won't be signaling anyone today," she declared, pulling the trigger. The gun roared to life, the blast striking the officer squarely and sending him sprawling to the ground. She felt a surge of triumph. It was more than just a weapon. It was a symbol of their resilience. With their leader down, the remaining Krathan soldiers hesitated. The tide of battle began to shift in favor of Sarah's team. The Verthax pressed forward, their energy weapons blazing, and soon the last of the Krathans began to flee, abandoning their supplies. "Victory!" Xylar shouted, his voice ringing out as the remaining Krathans scattered. The team erupted in cheers, adrenaline still coursing through their veins. As the dust settled, Sarah took a moment to catch her breath. They had done it. They had secured the supply ship and dealt a significant blow to the Krathan forces. She looked at her team, then at the Verthax warriors who stood beside them, their faces alight with victory. "Today, we have not only shown our strength, but we have forged a bond that will shape our future," Sarah said, her voice carrying the weight of their accomplishment. "Together, we are stronger than any enemy we face." Xylar nodded in agreement, his skin shimmering with the colors of celebration. "This is only the beginning. We must continue to build on this unity, to share knowledge and strategies. Together, we can ensure that our peoples thrive." As the sun set over the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, Sarah felt a profound sense of hope. They had faced adversity and turned it into an opportunity. With the Krathans on the retreat and their alliance solidified, they could begin to envision a future where peace and collaboration reigned. In that moment, she realized they were not just warriors fighting for survival. They were pioneers forging a new path. A path that would lead to understanding, respect, and a brighter future for both humans and Verthax alike.